Welcome back, everybody, to Hoops HD. Perfect timing as Rocco is joining us as well. Uh, this is our Sunday evening bracket rundown show. It is Sunday, February 22nd.
Woohoo!
I'm your host, Chad Sherwood. Got a full panel of experts with us, as well as the puppet down there in the center square,
What?
who's
I'm an
definitely not an
expert.
expert.
I'm an expert.
Uh, Got
I'm an
David
expert.
Dorman and Matt Sikowski to my sides, puppet in the center square, John Sleek and John Tytel to his sides,
Damn right, I'm in the center square.
Like
Rocco
ball
Miller from
win.
Bracketeer.org, and Mike Chai joining us as well. This is our bracket rundown show, where what we're going to be doing today in about an hour, what the selection committee spends an entire week doing, uh, which is we're going to be selecting teams and building a seed list. We're not going to be doing the actual bracketing process. That we'll do afterwards. The final bracket is down below. If you look at it now, you ruin the show. So just don't look at it, right?
Right? I mean, I just looked at it. What am I supposed to do?
Leave, please.
Aside from that, well, if I left, then I wouldn't be on the show.
Tell you what, though, we like to start these shows with a little blind resume, and I do have one set to go for today as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the screen share here and start off by throwing this out there for all of you to take a look at. We've got two teams, definitely bubblicious teams. I want to kind of ask you all, left or right, who do you like better? And if we get a few opinions on that, we'll get some guesses too. Matt, why don't I start with you this week? What do you think of these, left or right?
Yeah, I'm taking left. I mean, they both have the two Q1 wins, not much else, and then a little bit of Q2 for both. But yeah, and that the left a little stronger in the metrics, especially like the predictors. Although the right's predictors aren't bad either. But yeah, I slightly lean the left. But yeah, I can see why both are on the bubble.
Yeah. Tytel, do you agree with him on the left, or do you want to go with the team with the four-game winning streak on the right?
I've never been a big uh, thinker that streaks are like the thing that outweighs everything
Yeah.
else. I'm glad you pointed out, Chad, because it is important to some people. But like, I'm definitely following Matt to the left. OAR is better. Strength of schedule is better. J&G is better. Like, I'm a numbers guy, and the streak is not the number I'm looking at.
Uh, Dorman, will you go right? You know, maybe we've got a little more in the top two quadrants combined than on the team on the left.
No, thank you, Chad. I'm sticking to the left. I'm with the guys. I like the computer numbers on the left. We learned this weekend the WOB is going to be very important this year from the committee. And if you read the articles that of the media that was in the committee room doing their own media bracket starting Wednesday, Thursday, the WOB is going to be important this year. I like the computer numbers and I like the WOB on the left.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to sell anybody on the team on the right. Rocco,
Oh,
let me ask you. I know Sleek already knows them both. You probably know them both as well.
I
Uh,
oh, Rocco. Okay, I'm
well,
almost certain I know who the team on the right is, and I'm pretty sure I know the team on the left. And while I had the team on the left higher, if the two played now, I'd pick the team on the right. But you want to talk to Rocco. You don't want to talk to the expert.
Uh, I would I would just say first of all, if these two teams are from different communities, I hope they have neighborhood spaghetti feeds because they're both very empty on the calories. Outside of that, the thing on the right to me that kicks it out more than any of the computer numbers is that 8 through 11, tier 1 through 3, and also only two of those eight being in quad one. It's not like an Auburn scenario where they have a lot more than that, quad one and a road win. They do have a great road win in the top 20, but it can't be Auburn because Florida's much better than 18.
yeah, Sleek, you want to let us know who these two teams are? And I kind of threw these up there because the team on the right, not a team we've
They're
been
about two
discussing
hours
until
away from
tonight.
each other.
I
They're
think
about a
Chad
2 hour
was trying.
drive from each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say Chad was trying to trap me by that 15-12 record, but I knew Auburn was not on a four-game winning streak.
No.
That loss at home against Eastern Michigan is also a
Oh,
dead giveaway. So
yes.
the Cincinnati Bearcats on the right, and if we're talking about the team on the left, that's a nice win at home against Purdue and
Yeah.
a bunch of
That's
tough
Cincinnati and
losses
Indiana.
in Indiana. Yep.
And Cincinnati would beat them if they played today. But that's not how you select the teams.
Yeah.
I think it may also be Cincinnati fans' worst nightmare because now there's practically no way Wes Miller is getting fired when they're starting to heat up like this.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
is
there's
this
definitely lots of
surprising?
ways. There's lots of ways he still gets fired, but
yes.
Yeah, surprising, Griggs. We have not discussed Cincinnati as an at-large team at all season until literally right now.
Yeah. And well, it's not surprising. They've had a pathetic year until about 2 weeks ago. I mean, absolutely atrocious. And the win at Iowa State was a pretty big shock, but you just like chalked it up to just a bad team that had a really good day, or a good team that really had a bad day, or some combination of both. But they've won four in a row. They've won on the road, and they won kind of decisively at Kansas. And while they're not inside the bubble, it's impossible to not notice how much better they're suddenly playing. And you start to look, and it's like if they win out, and I don't think they get there if they don't do that, but if they do that, are they in? And the answer, I think, is yeah. I think they're going to be there if they can win their last four games.
Right.
Yeah, Rocco,
The
you
win at
agree with
Kansas
that?
brings them into discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
well,
Griggs?
it's a major league if. So
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
if. But winning at Texas Tech and at TCU is going to be very difficult. Beating BYU at home, difficult. Even Oklahoma State, who might be very desperate, will be. Those are all going to be difficult for their own reasons.
Well, I think another thing I've also noticed, Cincinnati is going to have to win outside the states of Ohio and Kansas if they want to make it to the NCAA tournament.
And they have not done that.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of games in the state of Ohio. But I
Well,
mean,
they are undefeated in Kansas. Good call, Salika.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move to our screen that we're using today. What we're going to do is I'm going to each of you for four teams. We'll then debate it. We'll either lock it in or sometimes get to some type of consensus. Move on each seed line all the way until this counter here of at-large teams remaining goes down to 0. We'll then fill in the rest of the field at the end. I know, Rocco, you want to just debate the 15 and 16 lines, but I don't think most other people that are watching tonight. I think it'd be great fun to
it's a lot
debate,
more
but
interesting.
we want to be a little bit interesting here, I think.
It's a lot
Yeah.
more interesting. I mean, come on. It's really hard to separate UC Irvine and
yeah,
Utah
in
Valley
the
right
special edition extended version of the podcast that you can only get on the DVD, Rocco and I spend an hour on the 15 and 16 lines. It's incredible.
now. Yes.
Hoops HD 2.
Yes.
Well, yeah, welcome Marshall Thundering Herd winning a 4-way tie right now in the loss column with head-to-head.
Hoops HD Plus, I think that is.
Oh, yeah.
But Mike,
Yeah.
the NCAA tournament selection committee actually gave us their top 16 on Saturday before all the games Saturday and Sunday were played. I'll throw them up on the screen there right now. Your Wolverines were number 1 overall there. Before they lost
Where's
game
the
to
operative
Duke.
word? Where's the operative word? They drop a little bit.
Who would your top 4 be right now?
Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and UConn.
Well, Tytel, you were there at the Duke-Michigan game. Is this right, or is there a chance that that Arizona, with the big win over Houston, maybe even leapfrogged number 1?
Much as I'd like to admit, Chad, I'm just happy to win at Houston because nobody, and I mean nobody wins
No
at
one.
Houston.
When was the last time Houston lost at home?
They lost in, I think, by 1 point in overtime to Texas Tech either last year or the year before. But it's something like, I think in the past 8 years, they lost 7 home games. Like literally, they don't
Wow.
even lose every single year. So I'm very happy to be the 2 seed. Duke looked like a 1 seed material. And while I think you can have a couple teams under consideration for the 4, I like this line pretty much. So I will go with no veto.
I thought Guy V. Lewis was the head coach the last time Houston lost at home.
Yeah,
Southwest Conference days.
I'm going to make a case for Arizona because I just think that when you have true road wins at Houston and at Connecticut, who whether you have Connecticut as the 4th one or the top 5, that is remarkable. They did have the loss to Texas Tech and they did lose at Kansas, but Duke also lost to Texas Tech, and the North Carolina loss is probably worse. I think that Duke's losses are a little worse, although none of them are bad at all. But Arizona to win at Florida, to beat Florida, to win at Houston and at Connecticut and at Brigham, I mean, that is just overall number one, done.
I get it. Matt, isn't there the argument though Duke has a higher volume of tier one, higher volume of
Yeah, I
tier
see
one
13 to
A?
11, Duke. Tier
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
one, quad one
Arizona has
wins.
a higher volume of one seeds on the road.
I personally still had Michigan over Arizona, so and I had Duke 1, Michigan 2, Arizona 3 myself. So I definitely
Yeah.
have Duke number 1 overall.
You can't accuse me of bias. I downgraded Michigan to 3,
Oh
so
no, I just think Arizona tops out higher, and they don't really bottom out at all. And I mean, when you're talking about beating those types of teams on the road, there are years that not even one seeds are able to get one win like that, and they have three.
mhm.
Well, Dorman, I don't think there's any question that these are the 4-1 seeds. So I don't go on to the two line. Why don't you throw me the next four teams?
Houston,
Yes.
Iowa State, Purdue, and Illinois.
Rocco, did he nail those?
I actually have Iowa State ahead of Houston based on the committee. Again, that's just trying to mirror what they said the other night. Plus, Houston fell. They both fell. Houston took a home loss, so albeit against one of the best teams in the country, I think Iowa State losing at BYU is a little more understandable. And I also thought with Illinois losing at UCLA, third overtime loss in like less than 3 weeks, it opens the door for Florida debate, especially since the actual committee had Florida number nine. So I've gone ahead temporarily, at least for the purpose of this show, and moved Florida into the 8 spot. But I do agree with Purdue at 7, and everything else looks good.
Well, let's take a look at that quickly at that Houston versus Iowa State because order is really important on the top 16 teams. So the real committee looks at the order for every single team. But Titel, Houston, Iowa State, I think what the committee said was Iowa State won the head-to-head.
Which, yes, and head-to-head is important. So if that's going to be your determining factor, so be it. They've both been pretty healthy along the way. I got to see them both in Vegas at the Players Era, and they both impressed the heck out of me. I think it's a coin flip. So if that's the case, I have no problem with head-to-head being the decisive factor.
But they better stick with that when championship week comes around and we see these games again. So I'm with Titel. I totally agree. The committee better keep it consistent.
All right, so
Yeah,
Mike,
don't
what
do
do
the
you think?
Notre Dame Miami thing in football. Hopefully they don't do that in basketball in terms of
So Mike, should we
consistency.
flip Iowa State 5, Houston 6?
Yes, I mean I think I know the game was in Iowa State, but they did beat Houston head to head. It's very close. Very close, but yeah.
All right, Stilico, the other question here was maybe Illinois not on the 2 line and Florida belongs up here. Take a look at those two profiles. Should that possibly be a switch?
Florida's certainly coming in red hot or orange hot, depending on what you want to call it, with their 7-game winning streak. And Illinois, as was noted earlier, they've had some tough overtime losses of late. I still think Illinois is probably going to have a higher quality of wins just by being in the Big Ten, but you can't deny what one of the things Florida did. They did at least get a road win against the other top team in the SEC, and that's Vanderbilt. Even that may be a little bit questionable, but if you think Tennessee is coming on strong as a number 2 team in the SEC, lo and behold, the Gators also have a head-to-head win against the Vols.
Matt, I got to ask you, I know you're a big predictive metrics guy. KenPom likes Illinois better. Torvik likes Florida better. What do you do?
I think, yeah, like they're similar. I like Illinois a little bit because I like, with the metrics being pretty similar, I like Illinois at Purdue, at Nebraska, probably 2 wins better than anything Florida's done. The neutral on Tennessee, neutral as Tennessee is probably basically equal to at Vanderbilt almost, or similar. So, like, with the otherwise being close, I like Illinois' profile better still.
I think I heard enough love to keep Illinois here, leave Florida under consideration. And Matt, let me stick with you for the 3 line.
And the committee got Iowa State and Houston wrong because Houston's better on the road. And that's all that matters. That's all that.
Well, all right, well, we're definitely put Florida at number 9, though. Because I looked at Florida and Illinois myself. But yeah, we're definitely putting Florida. Then we're going Nebraska, Gonzaga, And I'm sticking with Kansas as much as I kind of wanted to draft. I was sticking with Kansas at 12.
Yeah, we may have a little Kansas talk tomorrow night, and whether or not this whole Houston thing should be ended, as some people are starting to call for. But based on the actual profiles, Titel, let me ask you first. Does Matt have it right here? Florida, Nebraska, Gonzaga, Kansas.
Yes. No veto. Let's keep it rolling, I think.
Keep it rolling. Okay, well, let me get one other opinion here. Stalika, what do you think?
I know Joby would agree because we currently have the top 12 teams in the JNG. The only other problem is Texas Tech would be another team to consider, but now that JT Toppin's out for the year with a torn ACL, the Red Raiders are basically going to be starting from scratch. And if you also saw some of the schedules from earlier, they have a suddenly white-hot Cincinnati team coming into Lubbock, which is going to be a more brutal test for the Red Raiders than we would have thought a couple weeks ago.
I had Kansas a little bit further down, largely because of the home loss. But where do you guys have like a team like Virginia? They're climbing my seed list.
Next slide.
Next
I
slide,
like
right,
them more than
right there.
Yeah,
Kansas.
4.
I mean, I like them more than Kansas.
I wouldn't argue.
Well,
Yeah,
put the
after
balls
what
up here
yesterday's loss to Cincinnati.
Yep.
real quick. There is, but you got to remember, Virginia does have two losses to teams that aren't really that close, and maybe Virginia Tech is close, but Butler
Win
is
at Cameron Indoor and we can talk.
Yeah, 8-1 in true road games, and like winning at Louisville is really hard to do. SMU, I mean, they're in the overall record. I just think that they've been consistently better than Kansas.
Let me just throw this at you, Griggs. Here, isn't it what's something even harder to do than winning at Louisville, beating both Arizona and Iowa State in the same season?
And at
Well,
Texas Tech
yeah, I
with
mean,
Toppin.
especially, I mean, that would be very, very hard for Virginia to do. I mean, not being in that conference.
Well, I didn't hear enough love to make the Virginia Kansas flip. But Rocco, let me go to you. Who would be your 4 seeds?
4 seeds. I guess we'll go to Texas Tech. And I think Virginia's fine at this point. And then I think from there, it would need to go to Michigan State. And in fact, I actually still would keep Michigan State above Virginia, to be technical.
Okay.
But and then I'm a little torn between Alabama or Tennessee for the last spot. I think Alabama probably has earned it, but Tennessee's road win at Vandy really spices things up there.
Not to mention a win by Tennessee at Alabama when they had Bediako.
There you go.
I like Tennessee more. I've been kind of hard on Tennessee, but when they finally got that road win at Vanderbilt, I just think that to me, it made their entire profile pop. They're looking really good. I had them. That's exactly where I had them as a protected seed.
Yeah, Dorman, let me ask you about this Tennessee team. I think we mentioned last week as a team that we almost seem to be forgetting all season, and suddenly just this week, that profile just spiked upwards.
Look at it.
Yeah, they're definitely playing great basketball. I spent a lot of time going through for this last spot. I was between Alabama and I was looking at Tennessee and Vandy. Vandy is definitely third in my mind. I have Alabama by the slightest of margins ahead of Tennessee today. I was really impressed with the game with Arkansas the other night, albeit it was at home. Tennessee wins on the road in Memorial Coliseum down in Nashville. A great win over the weekend on Saturday. This went to the eyeball test for me, and I went Bama, but I can't argue I have no problem if Tennessee gets in before Bama.
Yeah, Mike, don't we again have to look at the head-to-head? And this time it was actually a road win by Tennessee. As we
Yeah,
mentioned.
I agree
Yeah,
because when it's this close, you've got to look into the head-to-head. I mean, that head-to-head is very important when the profiles are very close.
Yeah, and on that note, I would just say the 4 SEC teams are all so close in this spot, with it being Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, Vandy. And if you want to look at the head-to-head, Arkansas probably had the best performances. They destroyed Vanderbilt. They handled Tennessee no problem. And the Alabama game was an instant classic on the road where you can't really fault them for losing when they go to 2 overtime. So if you wanted to go to that route, I would almost argue for Arkansas to get that last spot as the 16 overall.
Yeah, you can
Yep,
call,
even
you
in a
can fault them for
losing,
calling timeout and in wiping out what would have been a really game tying 3-point shot, I think. But yeah,
But
yeah,
they've been
we'll also
dominating
get
against
it.
the other two.
yeah,
Yep.
they have been.
Yeah, we'll also get into it tomorrow, but Darius Acuff Jr. was putting up video game numbers in that game.
Yeah.
I think we're going to leave this alone here, and we'll go to the 5 line, and let me see who we haven't gone to yet. How about Titel?
How about Vandy, Chad? I understand head to head. I understand recency bias, but I also understand injuries, and they're losing games without some of their best players. They lost to Florida by 4 without Frankie Collins. They lost at Missouri by a point without Collins and Duke Miles, and they lost to Tennessee by 4 without Collins and Tyler Harris. When healthy, I think they're a top 4 seed, but since everybody else does not think so, let's put them here as the top 5. Then let's get in some other SEC teams. The Tide should roll right into here. Arkansas should roll right into here. And then I think that the hottest team in the Big East belongs. That would be the Johnnies.
Yeah.
St. John's. Wow. I mean, you
Um,
guys are nailing my personal seed list almost perfectly, but I'm not the one making that call
Yeah.
tonight.
I did have a
Very
question.
good.
Well, I had Vanderbilt close. I had them at the top of the 6 line. My question for Titel is: are those players expected to return? Because if they are, then it should be considered that they dropped those games without them. But
Yes, I check it every day. I don't know if Chad wants to pull up the Vandy injury profile to see if that is any
Sure.
more clarification. Collins has missed most of the season, but I have not seen anything saying he's done for the year. Harris has played 26 games. I don't think it's a season ender. And Miles is already healthy.
There we go. Collins is listed as just questionable. No one else seems to be on the report as of right now.
I think the one
He was a
flaw
late
to
scratch.
So I say the one flaw to the injury report that Chad has, it only tells you who's injured now. It doesn't have the encyclopedic brain of Titel where he can go back game after game and say you didn't have a full lineup, you only had a partial lineup,
I'll
etc.
work on that for next year. Sourcing all that data is not very easy, Stalika.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you
Gotta
what.
keep you on your toes.
Before you do that, Matt, let me get one more opinion. Is Titel's line here correct?
Yeah, that's exactly the 4 I had. But the one I would have had Alabama as a 4, but like whatever. I'd had the other 3 SEC teams and St. John's on this line, and not a ton of debate. I think otherwise.
We've really been agreeing so far. Stalika, let me go to you for the 6th line, and maybe we can get some disagreement here.
Yeah, I think
Probably-
there's a case for another team on the 5, but I don't know if it's too
who
late.
is it?
Oh, no, go ahead. Let's hear that first, Rocco.
Well, I think you look at the numbers after BYU's big win over Iowa State, and they actually are better than St. John's on most of the measurables. You just have to decide, is St. John's win over UConn a better win than BYU's win over Iowa State? And that's a good debate.
I think it is. It is a real good debate. Although, like I said, I think we heard a lot of love for keeping the Johnnies there.
Yeah, I mean,
BYU's
they're both
probably-
good options. I think we have 5 seeds, but there's only 4
Yeah.
spots.
If you look at a lot of these metrics, they're really neck and neck in all of them too.
Yeah, the WAB gave BYU the edge today, and so did the power, like KenPom type stuff.
No, KenPom has BYU, by a point. Yeah, so BYU's, but if you look at Torvik, it's St. John's. So
Right. Yeah, it's a close call.
and remember what the committee said was when it comes down to seeding, they look more at predictive metrics. WAB is more of a in or out type of question. That's at least what I took from this past weekend's interviews with Keith Gill. But
The one thing I'm with you, Rocco. The one thing that hurts me by putting BYU here now, Richie Saunders to me is so good. He's that scorer they have outside of AJ DeBonsa that just is there every game and is that 3-point shot, shooter. When DeBonsa goes to the hole or Keita's got the ball down low, he's open and he just knocks down shots. I think it's such a huge loss. Like I think this BYU team could have really went far in the tournament, and he's that good, and I think he's such a huge loss.
I tend to agree with that long term, but so far, obviously, the big result happened, and they held. I think part of why they held Iowa State to under 70 is because they didn't have Sanders. They're actually better defensively, and obviously, it does mean Debance is going to have a bunch of 35, 40 point efforts in those big games. But I mean, they're still very strong, so it's just hard to say so far. I do agree, long term, it's concerning, but the early results look promising.
I really want to see, Rocco, what they do in their remaining games away from home, at West Virginia, at Cincinnati, Big 12 tournament without him, because you won't have that
What you
home
have to
boost
do.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to wait and see a few games. Can't judge it off one, but that's all we have right now.
Sleek, let me go to you for that sixth line. We have BYU under consideration.
We're going to get a whole bunch of ACC teams in here. It won't be the surprise that I had teased in the Friday bracket, not after they lost at Virginia over the weekend. But I would start with North Carolina and Louisville on the top of my sixth line. Louisville's been getting hot. Carolina's been running hot and cold ever since the Duke game. We'll also go ahead and add BYU right here, just under those two teams. And if you're looking at a team that absolutely smoked the Tar Heels at home, give me the NC State Wolfpack.
So this is the ACC line. Last line was our SEC line. Griggs,
Wow.
how about that?
I'm not as I had Louisville lower by a line and NC State quite a bit lower. I know NC State's been playing better. Louisville just doesn't do. They're just not that good away from home. They're good enough to be in the top half of the bracket, but they're not as good as, say, Villanova or St. Louis or Wisconsin or some other teams.
Well,
Villanova was playing at home yesterday, and guess what they did not do against UConn?
Yeah, but I mean, that was UConn.
It was at home.
Yeah, and Louisville lost to Duke, who is in UConn's range by quite a bit more.
I think some of the losses Louisville took were a lot attributed to Michael Brown, the freshman stud point guard, and now back in the lineup, looks healthy. They would have won some of those games.
I got to go to Ty on that question. Is that not the asterisk for Louisville, meaning that they do belong here?
When healthy, I've seen this guy score 45 points, Chad. What do you think?
I agree with you. You're our injury guru, so I had to go with you on that question.
The doctor agrees.
Mike, what do you think? Did Stalika get these four teams right then, or should we be swapping out a Louisville or an NC State for somebody else?
Yeah, I don't agree with NC State. I think that's a little high. I'm checking NC State's profile, and it's a little deceiving. Yes, they're 5-5 in quad one, but two of those wins are against at Wake Forest and at Florida State, and neither team is an at-large worthy tournament team. I mean, that's like, it's a flimsy 5-5.
The deal with the Devil was they had to lose at home to Georgia Tech to make that happen.
And now that Georgia Tech is now a quad 4 loss, so I like NC State, but not as a 6. I think a 7 is a better fit for them.
Matt, who would you put in here? If you agree also that NC State's got to drop, who would you put in?
I agree, and I would still have St. Louis over them. I think the loss in URI wasn't great, but they had the nice win Friday against VCU, who actually I still took a surprisingly close look, probably compared to others, to VCU for the field. They're not that far off my field, and so they're getting that win still helps Sluice case. And also, I'm very high on Santa Clara. So,
Rocco, is St. Louis this high?
I think the real committee would go Wisconsin here because their road win at Michigan is so powerful.
And at Illinois.
I mean, and they took care of it, and this is real recent, but they handled Iowa today. I gave them a little bit of umph. For me, that put them above Villanova. I know they lost to Villanova head-to-head, which makes it complicated. But I think just that the strength of that resume, and especially what we learned on Saturday, how you top out, as Griggs loves to say, I think it came up like 3 or 4 times during that bracket preview show. So I think Wisconsin gets the nod if they stay consistent, which they probably won't. But if they stay consistent down to the 6th seed, that's where Wisconsin's kind of got the edge.
Well, they really have to win. They should, and they have to win these next 3. I mean, at Purdue is at Purdue, but although the way
they're not winning in Seattle, they're not winning in Seattle.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if they lost that game, Rocco.
And then won the Purdue game.
It would surprise me. It would surprise me.
UW will win that game.
Okay, here we go.
UW.
No, that's not us. That's them. We're UW. They're
That's a good
UW.
joke.
Oh, okay. Darn, I can't do that.
That's bad. That's Badger talk.
Dorman, should we go Wisconsin? Should we go NC State? Should we go St. Louis?
I have Wisconsin. My vote's Wisconsin.
I would have gone Wisconsin as well. Griggs, where you're bumping NC State off your line. So you didn't get three ACC teams.
Yeah, I think
sorry,
Wisconsin's the better
this was Stalika's
choice.
line. I'm sorry. This was Stalika's line.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's the better choice than NC State.
Had it been my line, we wouldn't have changed anything.
I'll tell you what,
The
Griggs.
puppet is always right.
Yes.
I'll give you a chance to be wrong, and horribly so. Why don't I give you the 7 line?
I got St. Louis at the top of this line. They did have a head scratching loss, but I do think that you get one mulligan. Villanova, who I kind of talked up a little bit earlier, and now I'm kind of starting to hold my nose. I not there with NC State, but they may be closer than I think. My next two teams were Kentucky and Miami, Florida.
So you didn't go NC State. You went Miami instead. You went Kentucky. Taitel, what do you think of these 4 teams at the 7 line?
I like the first 3 a lot. As far as the 4th,
I don't
I was
like them
actually-
either, John, just so you know.
as far as the 4th, I was actually leaning Utah State. Obviously, they're going in the wrong direction this week, but since Chad's been pumping up Nevada for like 4 weeks in a row, I figure losing there is not that bad, right?
I don't think Louisiana Nevada is that bad. I mean, they
No,
are
it's
a
a quad one
solid
loss.
Crown team.
Yeah.
Not a horrible loss.
And they have won a lot of games that were hard to win. They're not like beating protected seeds on the road like some of the teams that we've put in, but we're not giving them a protected seed either. They've been pretty consistent, and it is hard to win at Nevada. I could live with Utah State here.
Well, let me get a few other opinions. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely want to get Utah State on this line, and I'd prefer Utah State over Miami. And I'd prefer actually NC State to Kentucky. That's why, this was not a great week for Kentucky.
It was not. It was not. Pull up NC State. Maybe I just.
I'm going to pull Kentucky versus NC State here. I have made the Utah State Miami swap already.
You got some tier 1 road wins that are solid.
Yeah, and they're solid, but are they as good as at Tennessee, at Arkansas, Johnny's neutral? I don't think they're that good. And you also have a Georgia Tech loss, which is maybe I just need to put that out of my mind, like it was an anomaly. But every time I look at NC State, I see a team that I think should be better. And they just don't look as good as a lot of other teams. And when you compare them on the court and on paper, I just think Kentucky looks a little better. Having said that, maybe not this week.
I think I need to get my eyes checked because I'm suddenly seeing a road win of Florida State in quad 1.
Just barely. Rocco, can you break this tie for us here? Kentucky, NC State, who should be the last of these 7 seeds?
Yeah, give me Kentucky, Chad.
I like it. All right.
Yeah, they're just more solidly established.
Yeah. I mean, they got to break this 3-game losing streak. They got to find a way to win some games here, but at South Carolina next, they really should.
Yeah, South Carolina, 1-game winning streak, if that counts as a winning streak.
Well, plus, if they lose that game, they might lose out.
They might.
I don't know. The SEC, I don't trust anything that happens in the SEC. Every time a bubble team needs a win, they get it. Every time a team can help each other out because they're like a 5 or a 6, they'll lose. Kentucky's just helping teams out, and then they'll turn around and win. It feels very shady down in the SEC.
Well, as long as you're not helping Texas, I'm cool with it.
A little help from the officials with that too yesterday, but that's a whole other story.
Goodness gracious.
Oh my God, yeah.
The finagling at an all-time high.
Let's go on to the 8 line. Mike, we've got Miami and NC State under consideration, but why don't you give me 4 teams for this line?
Let's see. Yeah, NC State I'm fine as an 8 line. I like Iowa. We have St. Louis. Okay, Villanova,
St. Louis is in
Wisconsin.
already. Yep.
I'm just kind of muttering to myself here. SMU
SMU.
and Miami of Florida.
Well, you are going to finally put Miami, Florida in a couple lines after Stalika
Oh,
wanted
shoot.
them.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We've got NC State, Iowa, SMU, Miami. Dorman, let me start with you. Any thoughts on these four teams?
Yeah, check. You put up Clemson compared to SMU, please.
I don't think Clemson's ever going to win a game again, though, Dorman.
I don't
Yeah,
even. I know but when I have to look at the resume here, my point is I don't have SMU this high. I could go Central Florida. I could look at Clemson. I could look at Georgia even. Auburn with the huge win yesterday. SMU's a little high here, in my opinion.
I would have put Clemson in there had they won yesterday, but they've fallen like a rock.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Clemson. I'm not disagreeing there.
Falling like Howard's Rock, you mean?
Yeah.
Titel, should SMU be down, and should we put Clemson or maybe somebody else entirely in here?
I mean, I can make an argument for one of Rocco's West Coast schools, but no, I like this, and I can also argue with the order, but I would say no veto.
Yeah, okay. Gotta get one more opinion. Matt, do you think we should veto one of these four teams?
I'm good with that because the only one I know I'm on an island with, and I have the other team right with them, so like I'm fine. Keep this four. I like SMU is actually almost a textbook 8 seed. Like
At the end of the day, if they're not an 8 seed, they're a 9 seed. And
Yeah.
8 and 9s are so
Yeah.
interchangeable, but we do like to, at least have this argument.
Unless we're talking about Gonzaga and Georgia last year, where one was clearly better than the other.
Goodness gracious.
They have an interesting week. They got to go to the California schools. They're going to Cal and Stanford this week, so big week for SMU.
Well, that's about the same travel they have every week, though, isn't it?
Not bad point, Chad. Very good.
yeah.
Just the other direction. Let's.
This week it's better to go west than east with the snow.
Yes, I'd much rather be that way.
Worked out okay for them.
The Bay Area is nice this time of year,
Dorman, let me go to you for the 9 line. Actually, we do have Clemson under consideration, but I'll let you give me 4 teams here.
Central Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Clemson.
Central Florida, Georgia, Auburn with a very weak overall record, but
Yes.
but the best strength of schedule in the nation, and Clemson there. Greg, your thoughts on these?
Auburn, when you look at their overall record, it almost feels like it should be disqualifying, and you look at the long losing streak. But then when you look at the profile, and it's like, well, if we were to remove games that even 1 seeds would lose 2/3 of the time, you're removing about 5 or 6 losses.
Yeah,
So, Michigan at Arizona. I mean, like, would anybody win those? Nobody would win those games. Protected seeds would not win those games. So you got to sort of give them some credit for playing them. And while I'm underwhelmed with Auburn as a whole, I still think that they've done more than a lot of teams we're not going to select.
Right.
But Rocco, I got to ask you because the glaring
We're starting
number
to scrape here.
again is that 9 and 12 versus the top 3 tiers, but most of that is against tier 1A.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. And I just think with the precedent set with 10 and 13 Texas last year, it's basically the same thing. So I do have them in, but I don't have them as a 9 because I do think there would at least be some debate with the committee and they would fall a skosh lower. The only disagreement I would have on the list here is I have St. Mary's above all these teams. And my order would go St. Mary's followed by Georgia, then UCF and Clemson.
So you would dump Auburn out and put from this 4-pack in favor of St. Mary's.
I would, yes.
Well, let's take a quick look at that then. What this was Dorman's line. So, Mike, what do you think? Should St. Mary's?
I'm
be
looking
in-
at St. Mary's. Yeah, it's like To me, it's a very whatever their one was, 24-4. To me, it's very soft because who have they beaten? Yes, they're 24-4, but who have they beaten?
But this is
Of
why I like
worth.
this is why I like stuff like the WAB is you throw the whole thing, you still got the 30th best profile. And that's
True.
where like
30 was better than
they've done a
39.
bunch, maybe like a bunch of average and Bartek slightly above average, and they got two good chances to get home because I value Santa Clara very closely too, and
Hmm.
Gonzaga. You got even one of those. I don't think it should be any issue. Not only that they're in, but I think they should be a single digit seed. They get one of those two.
Yeah, and there is something to be said about holding serve against average to decent team. Like to win all of that on the road is pretty hard to do, to get all of that.
So, Griggs, would you make that swap too then? Put St.
No,
Mary's in, Auburn down?
no, I had St. Mary's a little lower. Actually,
Uh,
no, I didn't. Yeah, I would. I would have St. Mary's on the 9 line.
all right. You would put St. Mary's in, Auburn down one. Let me get one more opinion
Yes.
here. Stalika, would you make that swap also?
I would probably swap Auburn down to the 10 line, but yes, I would go ahead and put St. Mary's in there for now.
Okay, we'll put St. Mary's in this line, kind of in the middle of it here. Hold off on Auburn for now. And Matt, let me go to you for our 4-10 seeds.
Yeah, I do. I would have Auburn as a 10. I'd have Texas A&M. And boy, today or yesterday really helped them. I actually have UCLA up here, and I'd have Santa Clara.
Auburn, A&M, UCLA, Santa Clara. Rocco, what do you think?
Mostly there. I like it. But I do go A&M, then Auburn, then Texas, then UCLA, with Santa Clara in the 5th spot.
And so
That was,
I just had Texas right below that.
Yeah,
that
no,
was
it's
actually the
amazing.
team that I thought we were missing so far was the Longhorns.
There's a
Mike,
lot of head-to-head. There's a lot of
Oh,
head-to-head action
Chad,
in that
I have
too.
one question for you, Chad. Back to St. Mary's. It looks like with the ladder format in the West Coast Conference tournament, they're not going to pick up a bad loss. That's what it looks
Yeah,
like to
they
me.
will.
well,
Well, it
they
depends who
could,
wins on Wednesday. It's all about Wednesday's game.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
play each other. Santa Clara, they're tied at
All right,
14
because
and 2
if you get a 2, then you don't have to play until late.
till Monday. Yeah, till the
Yeah.
semis. Yep.
But if they're in
Okay.
as a 3 seed, they could get that 6 seed in the quarterfinal round, even though they buy
Okay,
into
and
the
that
quarter.
could okay.
Yeah, like Santa Clara losing to Pepperdine last year. It did happen.
Yeah.
And they also have the Oregon State game at home too, which is a little potential trap there in between the St. Mary's and the West Coast Conference tournament.
And
No.
I
Oregon
like
State,
St. Yeah.
Oregon State's in the 4 seed right now, and they have to win to protect it.
Yeah.
So it could
Well,
be
St. Mary's
interesting.
is at home, so they've got it in front of them. They're at home.
Absolutely. I'd pick them to win both, but it's gonna be great. Great basketball.
Yeah, for sure.
I like Matt last spot in the 10 seed. I like Santa Clara there. I think they're deserving.
Mhm.
I think they're before Texas, especially on my sheet. So I agree with Matt.
What about
Oh,
TCU?
okay, hold on. Before I get to TCU, Griggs,
Okay, yeah.
let,
Sorry.
us finish with one more question. Stalika, should Texas be on this line?
I think just having UCLA on this line is disgusting. I mean, you guys know how I feel about Ohio State, given that all their wins seem to come at home. UCLA has the same issue. They've only won 3 games away from Pauley Pavilion. 2 of them were against Oregon and Penn State, who are going to be Stallings Award candidates.
Yeah, but the 2 of them are 2 seeds. That's where I don't
Yeah.
care where they are. Where you beat 2 seeds. That's something no one else in this discussion basically does.
That's fine, but they can go to Dayton, which is about where
Yeah.
they belong. I don't think they're a 10.
And both those wins were buzzer beaters. I mean, Purdue was the
Yeah.
Bilodeau.
Well,
Purdue was the Bilodeau
Go
shot, and the other one was
whether you
Tyson.
win by 10 or at the buzzer, I'm not going to put much stock in. I mean, I do think they're good quality wins, yes, but they're going to need a little bit more away from home. And I hate agreeing with Griggs on something like this,
Yeah.
but
Titel, UCLA or Texas? Final call.
I'll use the Rocco corollary that if you sweep the Huskies, you get the edge. So let's go Bruins.
All right, we're going to leave the Bruins. Now, Griggs, you want to argue that TCU should maybe be here?
Yeah, I mean, if you look, yeah,
I'll leave UCLA up there because that's the only team we could possibly take down. Why do you think a team that lost at home to Notre Dame and New Orleans belongs on this line?
Well, because they did beat Florida on a neutral floor. They beat
Where,
Wisconsin.
Griggs, where are the road wins?
Yeah, I mean they're the same place that UCLA's are. They're not there.
Hey, Florida and Wisconsin happened in San Diego at least,
Yeah.
but they're not road wins.
No. But where they're the same place as UCLA's are. I mean, I just think that they're comparable, and I had them right next to each other, and I had TCU one ahead of them. It's not like I liked them a lot better. I just thought they were comparable.
Dorman, does TCU belong on the 10 line?
I do not have them on the 10 line, no.
I agree. If they make this field, I think they need to be playing an extra game. But
Yeah.
And that's a good if, because it's very much literally right on my border.
All right. Let's go things a little different here. We got to the 11 line, which has 6 spots on it instead of 4 because we're going to get into the first 4. Rocco, why don't you give me instead of 4 teams, just give me 3 teams now. We'll split this in half.
Okay, so yeah, we'll go back to Texas as team number 1. As team number 2, we go to the Missouri Tigers. And team number 3, the Indiana Hoosiers.
Okay, and Missouri, Indiana would both be in our first 4 under that line there. Indiana team we looked at the top of the show. Griggs, you made some noise, so let me get your thoughts on these 3.
I'm just not a fan of Indiana. I did have them in the first 4. There is a team that I think we're missing.
Yes.
That's the Red Hawks. I think that they're above the first 4.
The Seattle Red Hawks?
No.
Yeah.
I'm with Griggs. I think they have shown time after time they can win. I don't understand the one-loss discussion here or where it comes. I have them ahead of Texas, Missouri, and Indiana. All they do is win.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
That's fine.
I know the schedule isn't as strong as the other conferences, but they didn't have the opportunity. But the opportunities they did have, they've taken care of business. It's not easy to go through your conference on the road and just keep beating team after team. There's rivalries. Everyone's Super Bowl when Miami comes to town, or you go to Millett Hall, and they seem to survive every big test.
Matt, let me ask
They're
you.
getting stronger too. They're playing
yeah,
better.
they are.
They're better than they were 2 months ago.
Yep.
Matt, let me ask you. They've got that good wob, which is way better than a team like TCU who's up on the screen against them right now. So I agree that they're in, even if they don't win the conference tournament. But once they do get in, don't those predicted metrics throw you down into Dayton possibly? Throw you down into this ballpark?
Yeah, that's where I had them kind of in between this to where I had Texas, Miami, Ohio, Indiana as my next 3. In that, and I had Missouri actually a couple of spots lower. I still had Missouri in, but a couple of spots lower. So I would actually replace Miami, Ohio with Missouri on this, which would still be dated, but I would still they're in.
Well, see whose opinion did we not get on this? Mike, what do you think? Miami, Ohio, or maybe Miami, Ohio should take Missouri's spot on this grouping here. May not matter much because of they would not be in the first 4.
Yeah, I would have Miami, Ohio over Missouri. I know Miami's Ohio. I know the mothership. Their strength of wins is extremely soft, but when you're undefeated, I mean that can't be ignored either.
All right. So I think Rocco, that's one move we'll make. We'll put Miami, Ohio in there, drop Missouri down, leave Indiana out for now. There are still 3 spots left. I'd be shocked if Titel doesn't pick them, but he might not, and I'm going to give Titel the last 3 teams.
I'll take the 2 under consideration. And with my final choice in the 2026 draft, I will go with the Broncos.
Santa Clara's already in.
We got them in on the 10 line, but we give them 2 spots. That's good by me.
Sorry, it's my high school alma mater. I assumed that they were eligible too. But if that's how we're going to play it, I will
Maybe
pick
with
the team
Denver?
that lost to Purdue by 100 the other day in the USC Trojans.
I'm sorry, who did you go with?
USC,
Indiana?
and yes, I'm holding my nose while I'm doing it.
Oh man.
Trojans.
Yeah. I was thinking that too, Titel, but the game with against Oregon at home bothered me.
It should.
Yeah, I agree.
2 Tier 3 home losses, only 1 win away from home against anyone in the field. It's a very nice one against Wisconsin. But
You
Mike,
like
what do
them
you
more
think?
than TCU, who I don't really like, but
TCU, we just put in Griggs.
yeah, we did just put. Okay, we did.
Mhm. Yeah, Mike, should this last spot go to USC or should it go to somebody else?
Hmm. Could you go back to the list of teams here? I really don't like USC here, but I don't know who else to pick. Ooh.
Exactly.
I got one I'll throw at Joel.
Yeah,
Me,
throw some
me
out.
too. I'll throw some out.
I'll throw New
There-
Mexico out
Bears.
there.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
New
exactly.
Mexico?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mexico?
absolutely.
I had
Yes.
them. I had them a little bit ahead of USC, but I mean, God, that's the thing. This year's bubble, it just seems like the way it's shaped up now, and some of these teams are going to make better cases for themselves in conference tournaments. It's so much easier. Like if this were a law class, you'd want to argue for keeping all of them out instead of having to argue to take them.
And the Wob is dead
Yeah.
even, 46-47,
Yeah,
58-43.
So what I opted to do was shorten the field.
I'll tell you what, there's a couple things. First of all, odds are we'll have a couple of bid stealers, so it won't
Yeah.
matter at the end of the day. But assuming we did not have any bid stealers, Rocco, let me ask you. I look at the New Mexico profile. I'm seeing it. It's almost another version of the Santa Clara and the St. Mary's and even St. Louis in a way, other than one bad loss.
Right. Well, and I like the fact that VCU is still at least really close to the cut. And they went in there and they were the better team. I know it was a 3-point final score, but that was a double-digit lead most of the second half. They were clearly the better side, and they did it, so far away from home. And then, of course, the Santa Clara result. I don't know if the committee will care if Ensminger was not available or not, but they still won by 27 and played so well. And the road Grand Canyon, I know it got diluted just a touch with Grand Canyon losing at home
That's
to Wyoming
Still a
yesterday.
great win.
It's a great win, hard place to win. A lot of people lost. San Diego State lost there. Several teams have lost there in the league. So, and for New Mexico's level, being able to prove you can beat Mississippi State in Kansas City, they've gone up and beaten Power Five, at least one Power Five. So, I think there's enough there. I think it's definitely more appealing than USC or TCU at this point.
Well, let's go ahead and make that one move here. We'll put New Mexico in, hold USC out. Stalika, any other moves that you would make on the field?
The one other team I would have considered at this point would be the Cal Golden Bears. That win at Miami suddenly looking a lot more significant. And now that they're in the field, the neutral court win against UCLA also becomes significant for Cal.
It does.
Good point.
Yep,
Well, what
Cal's
about
close.
that Dorman? Should we maybe put Cal in either over New Mexico or over TCU?
I like Cal over TCU, yes. I don't like Cal over New Mexico.
Well,
How
Griggs,
can
I'll
you
go
not
back to
like the
you.
Mad Dog?
Cal tops out.
They do. I initially had TCU closer or higher, but it's Kyle tops out. Kyle's got the better profile. They top out a little bit higher, and they don't have a loss to New Orleans or Notre Dame. I mean, I think Kyle doesn't smell quite as bad.
Although the
Ty-
loss at
I
Kansas,
could go with that. Yeah.
the loss at Kansas State is starting to become a little bit more pungent, but if that's the worst that Cal has on their profile, then they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, the home loss. Well, TCU, the loss at Utah. Oh my God! And then Notre Dame at home. Oof. I mean, there's just some to where I do think they're good, but there's no debate. To me, it's pretty clear that Kyle has the better profile. I still like TCU a little more, but I could see going with Cal profile wise.
TCU has 3 or 4 better wins than a lot of the teams we actually put in a few minutes ago.
We
And I
mentioned
voted
this.
for it, but
We mentioned this last week. TCU has both a win and a loss in all 4 quadrants, which is just absolutely amazing to have.
Yeah.
crazy.
Um,
That
Ty
Florida,
Tel, would you-
Iowa State, and Wisconsin, just wow.
Ty, your thoughts on us taking TCU, your TCU pick out as well in favor of Cal?
I mean, I'd rather have the Buckeyes just to make Stalika go nuts. I know they lost today, but like they have so many single-digit losses to teams that are already in the field. Like as you can
Show the
see,
quote,
like
Chad. Show the quote.
preach.
Yeah.
And no, winning at Penn State does not count for me. That
It looks like Cal is going in, TCU is coming out. Let me ask you, who else would be close that we have not yet mentioned? Rocco, are there any other teams that you're looking at as being close besides USC, TCU, Ohio State?
I mean, not as close as those three. I think those are clear cut. But I think there's another group that are still interesting, led by VCU, because VCU whipped off 10 wins in a row, played well really well in the first half, fell apart in the second half in their big test. And now I don't know if they have a path, but I guess if there was a world where 4 or 5 of these teams all slipped up the rest of the way, maybe VCU has a chance with a run in the A10 tournament. And then I would also add Virginia Tech. You know, they did get a win this weekend to start recovering from that ugly loss to Florida State. Florida State's playing awesome, by the way. And then San Diego State, of course, loses at Colorado State, gets further away from the field, but they do end with a couple of blockbusters. And if they win those, they'll be really interesting once again.
fortunately for VCU, at least the punishments for leaving the bench for a fight end with ejection from the game. At least they're not going to miss any subsequent games as a result of what happened at the end of the game on Friday night.
They were part of our blind resume. I'll throw Cincinnati on that board as a team that's still within a striking distance. Matt, anybody else that's still there?
They feel like they still have a cockroach, but Seton Hall is still sort of breathing.
Mm-hmm.
They can't decide going one way or the other. They want to be like next 4 out, basically.
Well, considering they lost at home to DePaul, they have to be mechanically breathing at this point.
Yeah, they bounced back with that must-win home game over Georgetown. But I mean, they've got to, if they win at UConn in the next game out, we'll talk about them.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I put it. They're still they're rightfully right about at the bottom of this list, but they're still at the bottom of the list. And among the, like, if we had to have teams still on the board, and that's basically where they are, about 7th out.
7th, 8th out. All right, let me fill out the 12 line here with some auto bid winners. I think we throw South Florida, our American leader, on there. Belmont, your MVC regular season leader. Stephen F. Austin, throw them up here on the 12 line.
Yeah.
And how about Liberty?
Liberty.
Yeah, I moved. I personally moved Yale above Liberty after them getting killed at home.
That was actually a big debate for me, Rocco. The Liberty Yale. We'll do 3 seconds on this because you wanted to do it. Rocco, make the case here. Liberty Yale.
Hoops HD Plus.
Yeah, I mean, there's good debate on both sides. I think the Yale overall net ranking being 30 spots higher now is a big difference. I like that Liberty went to Dayton, played a hard non-conference game and won, and they've been so great in their conference. But Yale is just as dangerous, and they have great performances. And when they lose, they lose. Well, the bad loss was at Princeton, as Titel will tell you. But I don't know. It's a good comparison results-wise. I trust the numbers a little bit that's how the committee would vote in a close debate.
All right, so we'll go ahead and put Yale there on that last spot. Liberty will start at the 13 line, but I'm going to go ahead and just reveal the rest of the 13 line, right at 13 through 16 lines. We got High Point, UNC Wilmington, California Baptist as of today, as of tomorrow. That may turn into Utah Valley if they win their injunction hearing to get a chance to play in the WAC tournament. 14 line, we got Austin Peay, Hawaii, Navy, North Dakota State, Portland State, Merrimack, East Tennessee State, Wright State, App State, LIU, Howard, UMBC, Tennessee State, Bethune-Cookman. Hoops HD Plus coming up in a few minutes now. We'll go through each of those and debate whether I got those teams right. But I want to go through each of you for any thoughts on any final thoughts you have at all, including any thoughts you have on our bracket that we put together here. And Dorman, why don't I start with you tonight?
Yep, November and December. And then coming up, the Sweet 16, the Final Four, those are for the power conferences. We know that they've been in the spotlight. They have their times. But for the next 3 weeks, the next 20 days, watch out for our under the radar conferences. It is fantastic basketball. It's the athletes that aren't getting these incredibly huge payments. They're not going to be in the NBA, a lot of them next year, but it's incredible basketball, and they work just as hard as the other conferences that are on TV all the time. And they know their games in March could be their last. And for the juniors and for the seniors, the last game they might ever get to play competitively. And the theater and these conference tournaments, the Patriot League, the Ohio Valley, the Ivy, the SoCon, it's just incredible theater with great, terrific coaches and great athletes. And really pay attention to those teams the next 20 days. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Stalika.
A team like UCF was helping to briefly put West Virginia and Oklahoma State into NCAA tournament discussion, seeing as how both teams had wins over the night. However, both teams have faded back into oblivion, and UCF, after recently getting wins against Texas Tech and TCU, they've also stabilized their profile. Now, granted, they're still going to be around the 8-9 line, and you look at a team like Georgia, who's also going back up after they were flirting with a potential disaster. I feel a team like Clemson, if we pull up their schedule, they're probably a team that's, even though they've lost 4 straight, you just have a feeling they're probably going to snap out of their funk at some point. Now, granted, with the next 2 games coming up against Louisville and North Carolina, it could easily reach 6, but surely they can't lose to Georgia Tech like NC State did. Now, can they?
Yeah,
We'll see.
they got it in them.
This would be Clemsoning to a T right here if that happened.
Oh, jeez. Matt.
So this is where I don't think they can play their way in that large consideration, because that means they'll take another loss. But Dick, I do, after watching them Friday night and even earlier this year when Vanderbilt blitzed them, I still want to see VCU in the tournament. They're a fun team, and I don't need to see another dang Big Ten, SEC, whatever. I want to see VCU win. They're gonna, I think, have to win the A-10 tourney to get in, but I hope they do. I actually think there's a decent chance of it, especially because that tournament rarely goes to chalk.
I agree.
Correct.
Great call.
Titel.
The 3 matchups possibly in the first round that intrigued me the most, we could have an 8-9 Miami UCF game. I think they're about 250 miles away from each other in the state of Florida, but they don't play every year, so a neat interstate rivalry. For a 7-10 game, I'd love to see Kentucky and UCLA. UCLA has the most titles all time with 11, Kentucky number 2 with 8. The bluest of blue bloods. To see each other play in the first round would be amazing. And then as far as a 6-11, I'm intrigued by the chance to see arguably the best freshman / player in the nation in AJ DeBonsa without Richie Saunders, putting more of the load on his shoulders, going against a possibly undefeated Miami, Ohio team. And yes, if they go undefeated, I assume they'll be higher than an 11, but the chance to see whether this is a team sport versus whether an individual player can lead a team to victory by himself would be fascinating to me.
It would be. Mike.
Yeah, I'm definitely with Dave in the sense that, when you have the smaller conferences, it's the conference tournament that's coming up, it's really their season's on the line. I mean, it's not like when you're in a big conference and it's like, oh, if we, just get enough quality wins, we'll make the NCAA tournament. When you're in these small conferences, like, this is everything for them. This is their de facto championship. You don't win your conference tournament and you're not going dancing. So, and they're not, and in the major conferences, it's like, oh, we did enough to get in, we'll just blow it off. But in the smaller conferences, you can't do that. They're going to go all out. And, yeah, so that's just a totally different dynamic there. So, I think, the conference championship week is arguably the best week of the season for college basketball rather than the NCAA tournament itself.
It's a great week. One of our
It is a
favorites.
good week.
Rocco.
Yeah, so earlier this week, Dan Gavitt spoke to select media members in Indianapolis about the potential of the field expanding next year to 76 or other numbers. Declined to make an announcement until after the Final Four in the middle of April, and really nothing to to take away from Ross Dellinger from Yahoo's report at the start of the year that the 76 teams would be comprised of 8 additional at-large bids and having the bottom, bottom 16 champions of 32 leagues have to play an opening round game. And sorry, it's 12 and 12. So it'd be the last 12 at large, the last 12 auto bids all have to play an opening round game. You look at the board right here on the at-large side of things, and you're like, seriously, we're going to put Cincinnati and Seton Hall in this field. It's actually making a case to not expand once again in a season like this. But we'll see how it plays out. Maybe somebody gets hot. Maybe a couple teams get hot. But yeah, that's something to monitor. I also think a lot of that's them not having to take heat while we're at the Final Four about that topic. But I will certainly be asking everybody I can, and I'll be there for quite a while. So anyway, just interesting stuff.
Quick note here, our conference breakdown, SEC led the way with 11 bids. Big 10 and ACC got 9, Big 12 got 7. 3 each for the Big East West Coast Conference, 2 Mountain West teams. But I'm going to pull the screen share down, Griggs, and let you finish off the show.
Okay. Real quick to Rocco's point, one of the things I hope that you can emphasize is the impact it would have on the regular season. It makes it less climactic, and it would make teams even more wanting to, just schedule home bye games. And I think we'd have a much more boring regular season.
Yes.
So here we go. I mean, I just think that the impact on that there, let me see if I can do this right. I think I got it here. So as you know, like I love our fans. I love the people that watch the show. I love the people that listen, and I try and do what I can. And this time of year, it can just be, it's cold out. Not many people have been exercising. They've been eating a lot of junk food, watching a lot of basketball. They need to get healthy. So I have created, this is just so exciting. If you can see it there, I believe, is it on the screen there? This is the David Griggs vitamin supplement. Yeah,
No.
this is available on the website. You can see there, it is FDA. We're still working on getting it in there. It is soon to be doctor recommended. It can help you lose weight. Like if you do lengthy, rigorous exercises and workouts and take these vitamins while you're doing those workouts, it can help you get in shape. You can also start to rigorously diet along with these pills. That will help you lose weight. It can help you have more energy and a healthier sleep schedule if you adapt to a sleep schedule. And this is like, for only $49.99 a week, you can get a week supply, or you can save money just by going ahead and paying $799, less than $800 for an entire year. And this is another special offer because I care about the children. If you order now, you can get the David Griggs children's vitamins for just an extra $30 a week.
That's
Fred
it.
Flintstone.
That's it, Griggs. Please do not order the Griggs vitamins. Please, no.
But what if I
schemes are awful.
what if I use the coupon code HoopsMD and get it for free?
No, Silicon is not available. We've taken that site down already. I do want to thank everybody for joining us, though. We'll be back Monday night with a Hoops HD report. Wednesday with Under the Radar. Next Sunday with another bracket rundown show. We're also going to get into championship week mode next Sunday. We'll have more about that coming up.
Next Sunday, if you can believe it, is our first championship week video notebook. It's week 0 or day 0.
Day 0. The games start a week from tomorrow. But
Yeah.
on behalf of David Dorman, Matt Sikowski, John Titel in the Center Square, John Salika, Mike
Buy
Child,
my
Russell
vitamins.
Miller from Bracketeer.org, David Griggs, I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. We'll be talking to you again real soon.